The recent moves by the Vatican in sanctioning or rejecting various places of reputed apparitions were fascinating on a number of counts, none more so than the approval of the Rosa Mystica devotion. That was based on apparitions during 1947 and then during 1966 to an Italian woman named Pierini Gilli of Montichiari. And perhaps most interesting is the fact that this series of appearances by the Virgin Mary included messages that mentioned another alleged apparition spot in Italy called Ghiaie di Bonate. To quote Rosa Mystica directly, during an apparition to Gilli on December 7th, 1947, "I shall show my heart tomorrow, of which the people know so little. In Fatima, I asked that the devotion to my heart be spread. I wanted to bring my heart into Christian families in Bonate. Here, in Montichiari, I wish to be venerated as the Rosa Mystica, as already indicated so often, together with the devotion to my heart, which must be specially practiced in religious institutes so that they may obtain more graces through my motherly heart. The reason it is electrifying, the apparitions at Ghiaie di Bonate near Bergamo, about 50 miles northeast of Milan, have been in limbo for decades, 80 years to be exact, and yet they reportedly were among the very most powerful ever recorded, in some ways as or more spectacular than even Fatima. If the Bonate reports are accurate, and there seems little reason to doubt them, these were apparitions attended on at least 2 occasions by upwards of 350,000 people, at a time when there was no television news and, of course, no internet or social media. The crowd at Fatima during the famous October 13, 1917 sun miracle has variously been estimated at between 30 and 100,000. And the solar phenomena at Bonate were seen not just by those present, but in neighbouring towns and villages. Those phenomena, including the solar orb, spinning, turning colours, enlarging or shrinking in size, transmogrifying into the shape of the Virgin or a cross, and radiating a beam of light directly at the young girl who was the sole visionary. Her name, Adelaide Roncelli, a distant relative of Pope John XXIII. Her story, and the repression of this phenomena, is one of the richest in Marian annals. The reason for the suppression, despite countless eyewitnesses and a visionary who had been extraordinarily devout from her early years, a philosopher from a nearby seminary named Don Luigi Cortesi, apparently hostile to mysticism, demanded he be allowed to take Adelaide alone for an interrogation, during which he isolated and threatened the poor girl until she signed a confession stating that the apparitions had actually never occurred, a confession she soon after renounced, and one that the Vatican later rejected. Browbeaten relentlessly and placed in isolation, Adelaide eventually agreed and signed a letter Cortesi dedicated to her, saying, "I am a liar, I did not see the Holy Virgin, and I made up the story myself." Based on this forced confession, a diocesan court in Bergamo ruled in 1948 that there was no evidence of supernatural intervention at La Ghiaie and forbade any type of Marian cult. John XXIII later wrote a letter stating that the confession of Adelaide was invalid. Scuda, Archbishop of Milan, sent Father Agostino Gemelli, a physician and psychologist who found the Catholic University of Milan to examine Adelaide, concluding that Adelaide was perfectly normal and unable to make up this story. The damage done by a single skeptic sent the incredible apparitions, more spectacular than Rosa Mystica, into limbo, where they have remained until the recent mystical approval. Thus it is that the Bonate apparitions, again, cited by the Virgin herself at Montichiari, which now has the highest approval allowed by new Vatican norms, are prime for a major reconsideration. The story goes like this. On May 13, 1944, during World War II, and on the anniversary of Fatima, Adelaide was picking flowers to offer them to an image of Our Lady that hung halfway up the stairwell in her home. Her 6-year-old sister and some friends were with her when it happened. I saw a beautiful elderflower, but it was too high for me to pick. I was admiring it when I saw a golden dot coming down from above and gradually approaching the ground, and as it got closer, it became larger and larger, and in it I saw the presence of a beautiful lady with the baby Jesus in her arms, and on her left, Saint Joseph. She later testified. The 3 persons were wrapped in 3 oval circles of light and remained suspended in space, not far from the threads of light. The lady, beautiful and majestic, wore a white dress and a blue mantle. On her right arm she had the rosary, crown composed of white beads. On her bare feet she had 2 white roses. The dress around her neck had a finish of pearls, all the same tied in gold in the form of a necklace. The circles surrounding the 3 people were luminous with shades of golden light. At first I was afraid and tried to run away, but the lady called me with a soft voice, saying, "Don't run away because I'm Our Lady." So I stopped and looked at her, but with a sense of fear. Our Lady looked at me, then added, "You must be good, obedient, respectful of your neighbour, and sincere. Pray well and come back to this place for 9 evenings, always at this time." Our Lady looked at me for a few moments, then slowly moved away. Without turning her back on me, I watched until a whitish cloud removed them from my gaze. The child Jesus and Saint Joseph did not speak. They only looked at me with an amiable expression. The apparitions occurred for 13 days in 2 series, from May 13 to 21 and then May 28 to 31. More public appearances than Fatima and 1 less than Lourdes, though the Fatima series and possibly Saint Bernadette always had private experiences. During the second apparition at Bonate, the Blessed Mother allegedly said, "You must be good, obedient, sincere, and pray well, respectful towards your neighbour. Between your 14th and 15th year, you will become a Sacramentine sister. You will suffer a lot, but don't cry, because afterwards you will come with me to heaven." The Blessed Mother then slowly walked away and disappeared as she had the night before. During the third apparition, when asked to heal sick children, Our Lady told Adelaide, "Tell them that if they want their children healed, they must do penance, pray a lot, and avoid certain sins. If the men do penance, the war will end in 2 months, otherwise in less than 2 years." Instructive to us also was that the Blessed Mother said at the 4th apparition, "Our Lady smiled at me and then said to me with a sorrowful face, 'So many mothers have their children in misfortune because of their serious sin. Let them stop sinning and their children will be healed.' Said Adelaide, I asked for an external sign to satisfy the people's desire. She answered me, "That too will come in due time. Pray for the poor sinners who need the children's prayers." So saying, she went away and disappeared. It was at the fifth apparition that the Blessed Mother said to Adelaide, "Tell the Bishop and the Pope the secret that I confide to you. I recommend you do what I tell you, but do not tell anyone else." This Adelaide would do, winning a personal visit with both her bishop and the Supreme Pontiff at that time, Pius XI. The messages were undeniably intriguing. "The prayer I like best is the Hail Mary," the Virgin told Adelaide. When asked if sick children should be brought there, the Virgin, with a heavenly voice, answered, "No, it is not necessary for anyone to come here. Those who can come will come, and according to their sacrifices they will be healed or will remain sick, but they must not commit any more serious sins." I begged her to perform some miracles so that people would believe her words. She answered me, "They will come too. Many will be converted, and I will be recognized by the Church." Then she added seriously, "Meditate on these words every day of your life. Take courage in all your sufferings. You will see me again at the hour of your death. I will keep you under my mantle and carry you to heaven." First dozens, then hundreds, then those tens of thousands began attending the apparitions. By the eighth apparition there were a reported 30,000, soon growing exponentially. In fact, the one immediately following drew 200,000 before swelling towards the end to yet larger throngs. As Kudisi himself recorded, somebody noticed a strange beam of light shining upon the child and reflecting over the surrounding faces. Others noticed the sun had a cross shape. Others saw a solar disk whirl dizzily, forming a ring not larger than 1/2 meter. In the lower layer of the atmosphere, some people saw a rain of golden stars, small yellow clouds in the shape of hoops, so thick and near that somebody tried to catch them in full flight. Phosphorescent hands were seen, light globes in the shape of hosts. Another message: the sick who want to be healed must have more confidence and sanctify their suffering if they want to gain heaven. If they do not do this, they will have no reward and will be severely chastised. I hope that all those who will know my word will make every effort to earn heaven. Those who will suffer without complaint will obtain from me and my Son whatever they ask for. Pray much for those whose souls are sick. My Son Jesus died on the cross to save them. Many do not understand these words of mine, and for this I suffer. Notes a magazine called The Postal. All bishops of Bergamo from the time of the event up to now are firm believers in La Ghiaie, though none of them had enough courage to start a revision of the 1948 trial. Nowadays, at La Ghiaie, there is still the old, small chapel that was built before 1948, surrounded by a little gallery and a lot of trees and greenery. Recently, in 2019, the Bishop of Bergamo, Francis Bisseschi, authorized the cult of Mary, Queen of Families, at the small chapel, where flocks of believers still come to implore the mother of the family. At age 15, Adelaide entered the sacrament cloister as the Virgin had promised her, but after a few years of persistent gossip, and because she had held suspect when not in open hostility by the official church and the other sisters, Adelaide was forced to quit the habit and return to a secular life. She became a nurse, married, had children, lived in anonymity in Milan, and died in 2014. She disappeared from public life, and only in the late 1980s did she realize a notarized declaration in which she stated once and for all that she genuinely had the apparitions of the Holy Virgin in May 1944.